I mean, come on, guys. Even for the Championship, this is ridiculous, isn't it? Ryan Lowe is the first manager out of a Championship job, and we haven't completed round one yet. We've still got Luton and Burnley tonight. Incredible. Preston have played one game, and the manager is gone. Lowe was actually one of the more long-serving Championship managers. December 2021, he went in there. So 2.5 years. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but it's a bloody long time in Championship land. 13th, 12th, and 10th. The trend was up, although I can hear all you Preston fans going mad and saying, well, lies, damn lies and statistics. I'm not sure they were set for a long-term trend and to fly up the table, because Preston have become, and maybe always were, and maybe are destined to be, one of those teams that kind of sits in the middle of the Championship, always finishes there, kind of battles each year. They've got a sort of wealthy owner who puts money in, but can't really challenge against the parachute teams. And with P&S, FFP, you know, you can kind of get stuck where Preston have been. So, I mean, there's different arguments, isn't there, for Ryan Lowe? And I never want to make binary arguments on this channel, but if you do take the league positions in isolation, you can make the argument that that's fine for Preston. If you look at spend, you know, wage bills, expectation, club size, attendances, etc., that, you know, where they are and where they've been is fairly decent. I know there was a little bit of suspicion kind of amongst the Preston fans about the job he was doing. And I've got to say there'd been a little bit of biting back and forth between kind of, you know, the narrative maybe coming from the supporters and Ryan Lowe. I remember him doing a Soccer Saturday show and kind of one of those midweek Gillette shows on Sky where you're watching the monitor and watching one game. And Ryan Lowe was on there saying, I've got this budget, what do you expect me to do? And you could see frustration coming from both ways. I don't know what's happened, but there's been some kind of blow up, hasn't there? And maybe Ryan Lowe's gone into this pre-season going, look, I'll give it another go. We'll see how things transpire, and something's gone down to make him, you know, go nuclear essentially after one game. I know it says mutual consent and clubs are very keen to not use the word sacked, but let's be very frank about this. If you're running a football club, you don't take the manager out after one game. So you would think, and again, I wasn't in the room, I don't know, but you would think this is probably mainly coming from Ryan Lowe, who's taken one look at it this season and presumably thought that he can't challenge or he can't do what he wants to do, or there's been some kind of fallout. I don't know. Lowe's journey, obviously he was, where was he? He was at Bury, where he did well under massive, you know, kind of difficult circumstances, especially knowing what became of Bury afterwards. He went into Plymouth, who you would kind of categorise in a similar way to Preston in that they're a sort of mid-sized EFL club who punches above their weight and is well organised. And he did a great job, didn't he, at Plymouth with Stephen Schumacher as the assistant there, taking them out of League Two and popping them into the middle of, well, not even to the middle, they just missed out, didn't they, at the end of the season on the playoffs in the season where Ryan Lowe left. I think they were probably in the playoffs when he left. Someone can fact check me on that. And he went straight in at Preston and kind of kept churning out what we'd known from the likes of Alex Neil before at Preston, where I think it was Simon Grayson took them up, and they've just become very kind of stable. I don't want to say middle of the road, but certainly middle of the table Championship fare, where they'd sometimes look like they were going to make the playoffs, but they'd never look like they were in danger of relegation. And we know clubs in that kind of mould, essentially to go against the parachute teams and to boost the revenues, they need to make stars. And whilst there has been, say, a Jordan Hugill or a Callum Robinson go through Preston, they haven't really managed to capitalise on the stars and raise money and trade. I think they'd gone into the European market in recent seasons, and Osmajic and Frokje Jensen, and that's even been supplemented this season, have been the way they've tried to, get an advantage over clubs, frankly, with more money and more pull than maybe Preston have. So, look, what the hell next? I mean, on the one hand, it's a bit embarrassing that you've set all of this in motion for the season, presumably done all your planning, all your recruitment, and, you're ready to attack the 24-25 season. And after one game, you're making the change. But as I said to my friend who went to university, got the accommodation, went off and quit after 3 weeks. As I said to him back in the day, if it's the wrong thing and it's the wrong thing, then, the timing is the timing, and you've got to cut ties and get out. And actually it worked out all right for him. So, yeah, what Preston do next, I do not know. There's going to be, look, we anticipate always between, sounds ridiculous, 10 and 12 clubs changing coaches, managers during the season. And we expect some clubs will do it more than once. So actually more like 15 to 20 changes throughout the season, if you include caretakers and whatnot. So this is not a surprise to us. It is a surprise that it's Preston, and it is a surprise this early in the season. Speaking of Sky TV, someone like Gary Rowett is a very kind of stable Championship manager. Obviously, Tony Mowbray had his health issues. Those kind of names will be thrown in as people who are available. We all know that the trend at the moment in the Championship and in football in general is career coaches, and the likes of Danny Roll and Kieran McKenna and Marty Cifuentes, even say people like Michael Carrick, who are, he's a bit different because he's the big named ex-player, but feels very different, doesn't it? The dyed-in-the-wool hundreds of games, Gary Rowett or Tony Mowbray, as opposed to, maybe from the European market, or maybe like a Kieran McKenna, or the lad who's just gone into Birmingham, and Chris Davies, someone who's been at a big club coaching for a long, long time, would be the right thing. We'll see what they do. In terms of Ryan Lowe, I mean, unless there's been some kind of gigantic fallout, I guess his reputation's all right, isn't it? He's a Championship manager now, and he'll go into that pool of people who, every time a Championship job comes up, is going to be linked. And yeah, it is ridiculous, but it's hard to get into that pool. Sometimes it feels like it's hard to get out of it, and you can just get job after job after job. But if you've done 13th, 12th, 10th, and with all due respect to a club like Preston, who don't have the massive budgets and go against the parachute teams and punch their weight and all those good things, then I suspect you can argue that you should be being interviewed, if you indeed wants to get back in, you should be being interviewed for Championship jobs that come up in the future. So look, utter craziness. I'm literally recording with Sam in less than an hour's time, so I'll get his take on the Championship Check-In podcast. That is mine. Ryan Lowe out. Let me know in the comments what the hell has happened here. What next for Preston? What next for Ryan Lowe? And talk to me about your world record, everybody. One game gone, and we have our first Championship managerial casualty. Ryan Lowe out of Preston before we'd even blinked.